Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our Hadassah family around the globe. We are Hadassah. Whether you live in the United States, Argentina, France, Israel, or places in between, we are saving lives and life changing. We all received very good news this morning. The Israeli Special Forces rescued Farhan al-Qadi, an Israeli Bedouin father of 11. We know the work is not done, but we welcome him home so happily and joyfully. On October the 7th, we witnessed the most inhumane of atrocities. Since then, we have seen the greatest surge in anti Semitism since World War II, spreading around the world. And yet, we've also seen the best in Jewish people's resilience. Israel has stood firm in response to terrorist attacks from Hamas, Iran, Hezbollah, and more. Israel and the Jewish people have their friends around the world. Israel is at war on two fronts, as we know and we see, in the north and in the south. And just as Hadassah was prepared in 1916 in the middle of World War I, in 1929 with the riots in Palestine, in 1948 with the establishment of the State of Israel, and every conflict, intifada, and war in between, Hadassah has been there. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our Israeli family. Many of us, in Israel and the diaspora alike, have expressed the feeling that the calendar stopped on October the 7th. But that doesn't mean we're frozen. On the contrary, the situation demands it, and we demand of ourselves that we act decisively. Every day since October 7th, Hadassah has played an integral role in serving, protecting, and healing Israel. Since October the 7th, our hospitals have been treating the injured, some of the most severely wounded soldiers and civilians, from the attacks on the southern communities, from the battlefront, the victims of the Hezbollah rockets that landed in the north and central of Israel, some just a few miles from Hadassah Hospital in Kerem. And when the Israeli government urged hospitals to build underground facilities, we already had the facilities at Ein Kerem, and within a few short weeks, we built underground ER at the Mount Scopus campus that can be totally encapsulated for a worst case scenario. We have two fully functioning emergency facilities that can securely operate under extreme conditions and keep patients and their medical teams out of harm's way. We ramped up our mental health services at our hospitals, and we launched a psychiatric ER service facility providing community outreach and mental health support for the many families evacuated from near the Gaza border, from a shell shocked population surrounding Jerusalem area, and more. Israel is a country the size of New Jersey. Our Gandel Rehabilitation Center, the first of its kind in Jerusalem, was not scheduled to be open until the middle to end of this year. But in response to the urgency, we accelerated the opening. We admitted the first patients with the first phase completed in the beginning of January. And as children from the South were displaced and orphaned, our Hadassah Ne'arim village was the first called upon to take them in, provide safety, housing, food, and counseling to Israel's most vulnerable. We have opened floors for the eternal and internal medicine in the remodeled iconic round building, and we have created medical innovations based upon the needs due to the war. And together, we will heal. Biachad nirapeh. With your help, I know we will finish the Gandel Rehabilitation Center. We will complete the medical ICU in the iconic round buildings. We will add underground ORs, increase our mental health services on both campuses and across our homeland, and we will ensure the safety and well being of our children at our youth Aliyah villages. Ever since the assassination of the Hezbollah leader last month, Israelis and so much of the world has been bracing for the major retaliation threatened by the terrorist group. As we all watched the news on Sunday morning, the IDF intelligence said it had solid knowledge that Hezbollah's attack was imminent and that thousands of rockets were going to be launched towards Israel, with many aimed toward Tel Aviv and other cities in the country's center. Well, Hezbollah continued its plan of attack, managing to fire some hundreds and thousands of rockets at Israel, and Israel was prepared. The rockets they were able to fire hit towns in the country's north, with none hitting the center. And that's thanks to IDF's earlier proactive attack. And thankfully, the Iron Dome shot down most of the rockets. Even during this horrific time of war, our incredible innovations at Hadassah Hospital have been remarkable in the areas of orthopedics, rehabilitation, and robotics. Those came about as a direct result of the need to help heal the soldiers and the citizens of Israel. We have utilized specialized 3D printing to rebuild a patient's bone in her arm and so much more. It's my pleasure to turn our update over to Israel, to Susie Pat Benvenisti, our Executive Director of Hadassah Office in Israel, and Professor Liebergall, Head of the Orthopedic and Spinal Rehabilitation at Hadassah Medical Organization. Susie, Professor.
Thank you so much, Carol Ann.
Thank you.
Professor Liebergall, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'll add, in addition to the introduction that Carol Ann gave, that you were until recently head of the Division of Orthopedics at Hadassah Medical Organization, as you have been for many years. And to that end, I imagine that October 7th for you was a difficult day. Can you tell us more about where you were on October 7th and what was your immediate response and action and that of your team?
As you know, October 7th was a holiday. It was the Saturday, Simchat Torah, and I was spending the weekend in Tel Aviv, and I woke up from the siren. I didn't understood at the beginning if it's a real siren or it's real something going on, but we moved to the shelter within our house and we opened the TV and we realized that something is happening around Gaza Strip. I didn't understand, I think no one really understood at that time what is the situation, but it was clear for me that my place is in the hospital, as I used to do for the last 30 years, whenever there is any mass casualty event around in the country, because I know the role of Hadassah under these circumstances, Hadassah Hospital, and I know the role of the orthopedic division. Any trauma event is always mainly orthopedic event, because 70% of the victims will suffer from some orthopedic injury, so they need us in the hospital. And I think that it took me about an hour to come to the hospital, and a few minutes after I arrived to the hospital, the first helicopter landed in Hadassah, and then it was a beginning, and more helicopter came with many victims from the kibbutzim around Gaza and from the party near Re'im, and gradually we understood what is going on. Took us about 5 or 6 hours to realize exactly what is the situation.
And I know that you've really dedicated your career to helping people rebuild their lives, rebuild their bodies. And you've seen so much over the decades, especially with the many terror attacks and wars that we've had in Israel. Have the last 11 months been different? And if so, in what ways?
Um, I think, as Caroline said, that the last 11 months are different. This is the longest war that we ever had, and we pay a lot in the first day, and since then, every day it's not there are not any more, thanks God, mass casualty event, but it's continue, and we need to find a solution, and we need to help a patient, and we have an orthopedic care or any medical care is not something that end in the emergency room. You only start in the emergency room, and you have this first surgery, the second surgery, bone healing, rehabilitation. It's a matter of many days and huge load on the hospital facility in the orthopedic and the rehabilitation.
And speaking of the need to kind of respond to the injuries that people have, Hadassah Medical Organization is an organization that is known for its research and for its innovations. Can you speak to us a little more about some of the innovations that Hadassah has produced, specifically the remarkable breakthroughs that we've had in 3D printing and robotics, and other similar areas?
I think that the best way to explain that will be by showing two cases of unique cases, because as you mentioned, during elective period, we do from time to time amazing things with computer and robotics, but when we speak about new technology for a war victim, this is really something unique and something that no one really did. And we started to go into new era of personalized orthopedic. We all know that personalized medicine is the hot topic in medicine, that mainly in tumor care and other medical area, but no one is really speaking about personalized orthopedic. Our world in orthopedic is surround the image from the diagnosis, planning, execution, and evaluation, rehabilitation. And this is how our world look. But I want to show two examples of war injury with 3D solution. The first case is elite unit soldier that got this bullet. You can see the shapes of the bullets that injure his ankle. Maybe you don't see clearly what was damaged, but and we give primary stabilization, and then we did the CT, and you can see here on the right that there is missing bone. This is serious injury of his ankle, and the ankle bone is unique ankle covered with cartilage, and we need to solve the problem of the wound and to solve the problem of the missing bone and missing cartilage. On the left, you see the healthy side on the CT, and this this was used by us as a template with a mirror image of the injured side. So we create 3D model, and here we can see in pink what is missing. So this is a part of bone that is missing, and since to this technology, we understand what we need to do, how we can help him to return to normal activity. We printed with the modern 3D printing device that we have in the hospital, his ankle, and you see he's here in purple. This is a missing part. Without this part, although it's maybe looks small, he will not be able to walk. So we plan a patient-specific artificial implant from titanium. This is the plan implant patient-specific according to his bone. Then we printed it. You see that on the outer surface, it's smooth like a cartilage. In the inner surface, we have trabecular trabecular pattern similar to bony trabecula to enable bony ingrowth. Here is within the surgery when we implant this part of talar bone, which is the ankle bone, and we can see here the white stuff is the new implant that was printed especially from him with 2 screws to secure it to the remain bone. And if we look at the plan images that I showed you before, this is exactly what we did. But even more impressive is how he's walking 3 months after the injury. This is, for those who know the difficulty of restoration of ankle, this is unique case. The other case is a different technology. We can see here bullet, more or less similar to the previous one, but this was hit the soldier in his sacrum in the vertebra that connect the vertebral column to the pelvis, and there are a lot of danger of named vessel and nerve around it. Fortunately, he didn't suffer from a severe bleeding issue, but we need to take this out, and this is not a simple task. So how we do it? Once again, we create a 3D model using the CT scan facility, and now we did something that was never described in the literature. You can see here on the right the bullet, and you see something like a green plan screw. We have special instrument to insert screw into the human body. This time we use reverse technology. We looked at the bullet as a plain screw, and we said that now the robotic technology that's used to insert screw will direct us to remove the screw. And this is the patient's spine with the miniature Israeli robot that directs the surgeon to the bullet, small incision, and here is the bullet outside of the body. These are 2 simple cases. We did a lot of hardware of missile removal from different body part, not all of them with this modern technology, but these are really extreme cases. We also did other cases of 3D printing temporary implant to salvage joints.
This is fascinating. And I mean, really, truly amazing. I have to ask, have you written papers? Have you published the work that you're doing?
We always publish, but we need follow up. We will do it. And some of the technology in previous robotic and computer-assisted surgery served us during the Intifada, and we were considered to be world leaders in this kind of technology in trauma care, in orthopedic trauma care.
Really amazing. So let me ask you at this point, what are the major challenges for HMO going forward, particularly in the ability to continue to provide this type of care in terms of operating rooms and rehabilitation in the Gandel Rehabilitation Center? And maybe also say a few words about what you're doing now in the Gandel Rehabilitation Center.
I will say something about rehabilitation, and then I'll speak about it. When we speak of a mass casualty event, it means that the number of victims that arrive to the facility is beyond the regular ability to handle in daily life. And always you need to think about the next steps. Where will be your bottleneck, from the emergency room to CT scan, to operating room, to intensive care, to the ward, and then to rehabilitation. The issue of rehabilitation takes time. If we will not have rehabilitation facility for our patient, our world will be crowded very quickly, and we will not have room to treat new patients that arrive to the hospital. It was clear, as it was clear in previous war. The last experience was 50 years ago, Yom Kippur War, that we will need rehabilitation unit for soldiers because it takes time, and we didn't have rehabilitation facility, especially for soldier. So as soon after we realized the number of soldiers that we have, we opened in the old facility in Mount Scopus rehabilitation unit for soldier. And as soon as possible, as Caroline mentioned, we opened the new facility. It was amazing to open it many months before it was planned, and to give this soldier a modern facility. And you need a lot of facility, and you need a lot of modern technology, which are available now for rehabilitation. We are speaking of rehabilitation. When we speak about rehabilitation, we speak about, once again, patient-specific solution like prosthesis, implant, which are patient-specific, but you need also equipment to enable the rehabilitation process. For example, the soldier with the ankle injury was not allowed to put weight on the leg for at least 2 months. But with modern facility, there are ability to simulate walking in anti-gravity equipment, which we have now in the hospital, and we need more of that. We need different solution of virtual reality to enable better rehabilitation of some mental aspects, some seeing aspect. It is endless area for the hospital. This what I showed and what we need. Usually we speak of hybrid room with computer, with robotics, and getting new, like, the smartphone that we have. After 2 years, you need a new one because there is modern technology available, and we want to be in the front to do these amazing things for the soldier and for other citizens, other trauma victims and other patients. but really the situation took from us whatever we could to help the victims.
Yeah. And what I've seen over the last, 11 months is really that rehabilitation is very hard work. And the environment in which somebody undergoes rehabilitation makes a difference. And having a place that is truly a healing environment where they have, fresh air and light and space, and they have virtual reality so they feel like they're playing games while they're doing rehabilitation. Those things really make a difference in their ability the ability of the soldiers and the patients and really everybody who's undergoing rehabilitation to persist and to continue to do the hard work.
Yeah. Also, I have to mention that we open only 2.5 floors in the new hospital, and we need to open all of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Professor Liebergall, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with us and particularly these incredible innovations that you're working on. Truly making a wonderful difference in the lives of everybody that you're treating. Thank you so much.
It's a story among comradeship, heroism, initiative. A story about Jonathan, an entrepreneur who founded a company that would save dozens of soldiers on the battlefield, and also himself. We meet in the new rehabilitation building of Hadassah Hospital. Yonti, a brigade commander in the reserves, is learning to walk again at the age of 48.
ולכופף ולהחזיק ולפתוח. מעולה.
בסדר, זה לא פשוט גם עם רגל בריאה.
After a long service in Golani, and then as a squadron commander in the Special Operations Unit, Yonatan started a company where they train the armed forces in the reality of a real battle.
The preoccupation with what people go through in battle and how they behave in difficult situations has always occupied me. Then, one day, after an encounter the unit went through, I talked to the company commander who was with me, and he told me that the event was difficult for him. I asked him, "What would you like the training to give you?" So he said to me, "I would like to feel the first event, as if it were the second event. I mean, the training will not only give me the technical ability, but he'll actually get me into the event." And then I said, voila, I'm going to do something that will make people feel for their first time, when they're in a really tough situation, like it's the second time.
Extreme Simulations trains military and medical forces to train in emergency situations, trying to simulate as much as possible the medical treatment for treating a war situation. With the noise of the gunshots, the pressure, and the smell of the gunpowder, the mannequins that are made in England depict a wounded person. The injuries are shockingly similar to battle injuries. When the 646th Brigade joins the fighting,
Litov is recruited together with Yonti and Nadav, who is an evacuation officer in the brigade. We were both in defense and attack, and within that, there were all kinds of events that included casualties.
a force of the brigade encountered a terrorist squad in one of the city's neighborhoods and needs assistance and evacuation. Yonti and his CPA jumped to the event.
I tried to contact them, but I couldn't. We advanced to the point, and on the way, an RPG missed us. By a few meters, we were in a hammer. We unloaded from it, tried to understand where the terrorists were. I decided to go a little further to understand where they are. I suddenly felt pain. At first in the shoulder. Then I saw I was also shot in the legs. I realized I had to run away as soon as possible. I run like that because I understood that this is running for life. And then my guys, who were still a little behind, came at them from a different direction. I told them I was hurt and I have to quickly have a paramedic treat me. I was already bleeding a lot. It was hard for me to breathe. I spat blood.
את יונטי. היה קשה לזהות אותו, היה עם הרבה מאוד דם על הפנים, על הגוף.
אותו על אלונקה, הלוחמים שלו המקסימים סיימו לעצור דימומים.
For 10 days, Jonathan was unconscious, breathing, fighting for his life. After 10 days, they woke him up, and then the improvement literally day by day. After 5 weeks, he was out of danger and moved to rehabilitation.
Yonti Bahat returns home in an ambulance to the house in Nes Harim, with the entire scene showing the hero returning alive from the battle.
Welcome, Yonti. תודה.
Thank you for joining us. Yonti is a patient at the Gandel Rehabilitation Center and has been a patient at Hadassah almost since the beginning of his injuries. He is a lieutenant colonel and deputy commander of a paratroopers brigade, married to Anat and a father of 2 boys. Yonti, let's start by, if you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself, a little bit about your background.
So I'm 48 years old. I served in my regular army in special units, and later on I continued in my reserve duty as a battalion commander, and later as a deputy of a brigade commander. In my civilian life, I'm a co-founder of a company that deals with preparing organizations and for emergency incidents, and we deal with training mainly the IDF, but also other military organizations in the world for treating casualties and so on. And one of the interesting things was that I trained, we couldn't see it in the video, but I trained the paramedic that saved my life later in the field. I was involved in her course and in her training. So this is what I do in my daily life.
And you train people so that they're prepared, actually, so that when they are in the battlefield and taking care of injured soldiers, that they've already experienced the battlefield conditions in a simulation, in as close to real as possible simulation.
Yeah, that's correct. We do physical simulations, and we try to imitate the situation in the battlefield, or treating casualties the best way that is possible, both for the technical capabilities and also for the mental capabilities. And we saw that both of them are very important.
So can you tell us a little bit about the circumstances of your injury? Where were you? What happened?
I was in charge on an area in the what is called the corridor. It's in the center of Gaza Strip. And we had some offensive and defensive. We had like kind of a routine. And on January 8th at noontime, I heard in the radio that one of the forces that was dealing with some activity not far from the place that I was, they had they had some incidents with Hamas terrorists, and they had casualties, and I couldn't understand exactly what's going on. So I went to see what's going on in my own eyes. And when we got there, first thing that I got was the RPG rocket flying towards me that missed in really like 1 meter from my head, and exploded in the wall next to me. And then we went for looking for those terrorists, and we didn't know that there is another group of them hiding in the bushes. They just went out of a tunnel, and I got like in a matter of a second, I got 4 or 5 bullets in my body. And when I ran out of there, I got the 6th one. and I was injured in both of my legs, in my chest. I got a bullet that punctured my lung, and also the bones in my chest area, the clavicula, the scapula, and the shoulder joint was smashed. I lost a lot of blood. I was in a critical. I got a critical injury, and I was evacuated. The treatment was very good in the field, and later in the helicopter in the hospital, and I got a lot of blood, and they managed to save my life.
Wow. And you said the paramedic who treated you, you actually trained her prior to this experience.
Yes, she's a very skilled paramedic. I noticed it since she's already still young. She's only 25 years old, but I knew her a few years before, and I always admired the way she does things, and she was very calm and very professional. And she got there under fire together, actually, with my brother, which was the commander of the evacuation team.
Wow.
They got under fire and took me out of the to a shelter, and then treated me really under fire. She gave me a chest tube that saved my life, and also and she did it without anesthesia, which was I saw it happening because they didn't want to give me anesthesia. And yeah, she really saved my life, and now we talk a lot, and I thanked her many times for it.
Amazing. And I just have to say that for Hadassah Women's Organization, it's important to point out that the paramedic who treated you in the field was a young woman soldier. That's truly amazing.
Yeah, women take a very intensive and very important role in this war, in the field, under fire, all kind of jobs, and they do it great.
So absolutely. And so your wife is a physician, and after a week or so, she insisted that you be transferred to Hadassah for after doing her research on the kind of treatment that you would need. So can you tell us a little more about what you underwent once you arrived at Hadassah?
So I started. I was transferred to Hadassah, still under ventilation and anesthesia, to the intensive care unit, and I was still in general. I had 2 weeks of anesthesia and ventilation, and later on, my wife. It was important for her to that I will be in Hadassah, both for the treatment she knew that the intensive care is good, but also for the orthopedic treatment, and she knew that I will have to pass a lot of treatment for the orthopedic injuries, and she also connected the Professor Liebergall. And I was there. It was I had the 2 weeks under anesthesia that I don't know what what happened there because I was asleep. But later on, I started getting all the other treatment, and I understood that it's gonna take time, and I'll have I will need to have some serious orthopedic intervention, and it took time because some of my previous injuries had to heal a little bit before the operation, but after 2 months and a half, I got a replacement of the shoulder joint because they couldn't. It was completely smashed, and Professor Liebergall, together with the Professor Safran, did this operation, and now I have a new shoulder.
Amazing.
So and during that time, I also started the process of rehabilitation, which started in the department in Ein Karem, later on in Har HaTzofim in Gendel facility.
And so you're right now on a week vacation from rehabilitation, which sounded like it's not too much of a vacation because you're taking care of your two very young children. But you've been for the last 5 months at the Gandil Rehabilitation Center in inpatient and then outpatient rehabilitation. Can you tell us a little more about the experience there?
I think in general, there was a point that I got to the rehabilitation center laying on a bed. I couldn't do anything because I was very weak after the time in the intensive care, and because of my injury, which was very severe, so I couldn't walk, and I couldn't even lift myself to go from the bed to the wheelchair. And they started, I remember this point that the physiotherapists came and they told me, you need to step on the leg, and the doctors authorized for me to step on my left leg, which got 2 bullets, but it didn't break the bone. It just went through the soft tissue, but still it hurts. They told me, the doctor said that you can step on the leg and you need to go by yourself to the wheelchair. And I said, it doesn't look like I can do it. And said, no, you can do it. And they helped me to pass to the wheelchair. And then I said, okay, I'm on the wheelchair. And then they said, no, you need to do it a few times to start to practice for it. And I think that this moment I understood that from now on, the process is not me. It's a process that I need to be a very active part on it, but without the escort of them and the professional assistance and the facilities, I think I would still lay on the bed and and I wouldn't believe that I can do something. So it's a very hard and long process from being on a bed with that can't brush my teeth, can't do anything by myself, I can't move even on the bed, to a situation that I'm in now, that still I have a lot of work to do, and it's I think a few months ahead at least of rehabilitation, it, um, but I can manage now by myself. I can lift my son, and I can help at home, and so I think it's a process that, and the Professor Liebergall said about it before, that if people won't have a place to do it, the process stops in the middle. And I think I needed intensive care in order to breathe. I needed later physiotherapy in order to self respirate, and then I needed the rehabilitation. What I'm trying to say, it's important for me to go back to life like it was for me the ventilation. Now it's rehabilitation. It's a crucial part. And thanks to the new building and facilities, I think it was a very much better experience, and a nice way to pass this hard process.
It's really amazing to hear. Yonti, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we all wish you, and I'm wishing you on behalf of all of the members and supporters of Hadassah, a continued refuah shlema, full recovery. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susie and Yonti, and to Professor Liebergall, and Rufu Shalema. May you continue to go from strength to strength, Yoti. And we look forward to seeing you in person the next time we are together in Israel. Israel is at war. We have heard a sliver of what is actually occurring on the ground. We learned about the 2,500 Hamas terrorists who came across the border by land, by sea, by air. We learned about their slaughter at the Nova Music Festival site, the rape, the butchery, the murder, the citizens of the land of Israel. And we were there to save lives. We were there to be innovative. We saw the faces of the 243 hostages who were kidnapped. We learned about them from their family members on Zoom, in Hostages Square, at Kfar Aza, near Oz, in the Novo site, and more. We went to Kfar Aza to bear witness. We smelt the burnt buildings, the savagery, and more. We have never seen such terror or evil. Too many lives taken too soon, too many casualties, too many helicopters on the helipad, too many ambulances, too many surgeries needed. We are Hadassah. We are in Israel as we always have been. We have 4 objectives: to complete and equip the Gandal Rehabilitation Center phases 2 and 3 with increased mental health services, to outfit 6 new cutting-edge operating rooms located deep underground at the Sarah Wetzman Davidson Hospital Tower, to complete the construction and equipping of crucial state-of-the-art ICU in the iconic Round Building. And we must be there to support our children at our youth Aliyah villages, support for additional shelters, psychosocial services, and more. Together we will heal. Biachad nirapeh. I'm calling upon each of you to please give a gift of profound significance. Donors who are able to and who will contribute a gift of $18,000 or more during this special time will receive a unique Hadassah Together We Will Heal dog tag and chain. This symbolizes your commitment to addressing Hadassah's critical needs and your ongoing dedication to healing and restoring Israel. Every gift you can give is needed and appreciated. Can I count on you for your support? We need you now more than ever. Israel needs you now. Please tell me yes. Click on the QR code. Make a donation. Let me know we can count on you. Israel can count on you. Toda rabah lekulam. I thank everyone. Together we will heal. Biachad nirapeh.